All right, another edition of Riding Home. Dean Legge, Ryan Curley. Kendall Milton sidelined for today at least, and that's something that was discussed before practice. Um, but what's the level of concern from what you saw, Ryan?
I would strike it as a small amount of concern. He was moving around. He was running. They were doing their own thing in that drill. A group of players that were injured. Key players, really. Kamari Lassiter, Kendall Milton, guys like Ra Thomas were over there. Dan Jackson. Um, but concern level is low. They were all wearing their normal jerseys for contact. Um, I don't have a speculation on what his injury was, but they were going through doing little jogs and little sprints, and that's pretty much all you could see from that. Um, but as far as what the actual injury might be, I don't know. But he was with that group in the corner. Usually, that group of quote unquote players that are not fully practicing are inside, but this today they were outside in a corner,
Get
a
they're,
little corner of the field.
they're getting used to the heat. I mean, that's just all there is to it.
Yeah, and they practice what I will say at the hottest time of the day.
I,
Uh,
I think
yeah,
that's what I mean. That's what I would do when I run. I try to run at the warmest time. People think I'm crazy, and I said, "Well, did you spend the summers of your youth playing tennis for 6 hours a day in the heat in the 90s? I mean, in the 90s temperature and in the 1990s." But you have to get acclimated to the weather because in September the South Carolina game will be hot. And South Carolina, of course, in Columbia, is probably the most miserable place to practice of anywhere in the league because I think even in Gainesville, I don't know. It's between those two. Perhaps College Station, though, now that I think about it. But Columbia is like rough. And I don't know. But other comments, Carson Beck and the quarterbacks.
yeah, I got to watch them do some red zone work today. It's routes on air. Now today was the first day of full pads, but
Right.
from what we get to see, it's just routes on air. I thought Carson Beck had nice touch. Look, these are my evaluations from the more like I said it like for the third time, routes on air, but they had someone kind of
The running at them thing.
mocking what a DB would
Yeah.
do in the end zone. So touch passes in the back of the end zone. I thought he looked good just in that little window that I was watching him. Every single pass was complete. As far as just that, the quarterbacks, they all look good today. I thought Gunnar Stockton, I saw him throw an out route like four times in a row. It was just boom, 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 no matter the receiver. Um, but I thought they looked crisp. What's interesting as I watched them in the red zone, I was thinking about it. When they get to the red zone, how often do we see them just punch it in with guys like Kendall Milton and Dejan Edwards?
It's not. It's not every time.
It's not every time, but it's quite often.
Let me just say.
Receiver. So you go ahead.
Well, real quick, they scored on 80 of 82 red zone possessions. So punch it in is a relative score point. They score points. Hey, make sure you're scoring by picking up your subscription to Dog Post today. You're going to get a couple things free. You're going to get our 2023 preview. It's going to come to your residence. That is going to be on the way. Secondly, our friends at Red Zone are going to send you a T-shirt. You need to tell them what size it's going to be. They are also giving you 20% off anything in the store on their online store. So you need to sign up for this today. The link is right down below. In addition, one last thing for free. If you've ordered double dogs, I will give you September for free, but you gotta take advantage right now. This is the time of the year to do it because guys like Ryan, we're at. I mean, this weekend we're going to be out and about at high school games. We got the scrimmage on Saturday for the dogs. This is the time to sign up. Sign up. The link is right down below. You were saying, Ryan, I think you were talking about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was going to talk to the guys they were throwing to. Just in these first 2 weeks of practice, what it's looked like is your first group of receivers and pass catchers. Marcus Osme-Jackson, Arian Smith is kind of mixed in there. Dominic Lovett. Um, I think Dylan Bell's going to play a lot. A guy that when Carson Beck did play, we saw him throw to Dylan Bell.
He did.
Um, and they probably worked a lot together in that second string last year. Um, And Brock Bowers, of course, with
I
Oscar
don't.
Del
Who
being second. But there's no doubt there,
did you say?
right? I
Who?
was saying, of course, Brock Bowers.
I don't know who that person is.
Uh, um,
We're not. We really shouldn't talk about the Stars on August 8th. Like, no discussion of Brock Bowers. No, Bullard, Starks. Who else? Who's a star on this team?
who are the stars of this team?
Yeah. There's no discussion of Brock Bowers. Brock
There's
Bowers.
no
We can't talk about Brock Bowers unless he's hurt. That's what I would say.
discussion about Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers is going to be an All-American. You don't have to worry about him. Go ahead.
It would be interesting to tear off the other stars on this team. Maybe that's a different conversation. That would be a hard conversation, I think.
Oh, I don't think they got a bunch of stars. That's my exact point. That 21 team, Ryan, they had stars. Stetson Bennett became a star, I guess you could say. But it was, you can fix your camera. I'm all on me right now. That 21 team had Jordan. They had personalities with Jordan, Nakobe. There were stars on that team. This team and last year's team, I guess, they didn't really have stars. A.D. Mitchell would have been a star. A.D. Mitchell was hurt most of the year. And now he's in Texas.
Yeah, yep. And the year prior in 2021, George Pickens was one of their stars.
I forgot about George Pickens.
One of the bigger personalities they've had the last couple of years.
But George didn't play in 21 until the end.
No.
Ladd McConkey is maybe not a national star, but Ladd McConkey is a really, really good player.
National star is a good way to put it, because I think that there are a lot of players on this Georgia team that we know are really good, but are they viewed stars?
Who is out?
I think Jamon Dumas Johnson.
Yeah.
I think Jamon Dumas Johnson gets viewed in high regard nationally. I think Cedric Van Pran gets viewed in high regard nationally.
Cedric Van Pran is a star, I think. Who is Alabama?
I think you could argue Cedric Van Pran. I think you could argue Cedric Van Pran might be the most important Bulldog this year.
Who is Alabama's star on offense? Okay, so on defense, I think you could name them, but on so this is not. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you can name stars on their defense, but there isn't a star on their offense. Maybe. Yeah.
We know Ohio State's got just unbelievable wide receivers. Michigan has very gifted running backs. Georgia has probably the best. Well, I don't think you can say they got better wide receivers than Ohio State. But if you lump Brock in there with it, it might become a more serious competition. I'd still take Ohio State, I think. But this Georgia team's not with a bunch of stars, man. I don't think.
No, if you look across the board, there aren't a bunch of names that are just big national names, but it wasn't necessarily like that either. Now, you had Jalen Carter on defense, and he was your star on defense. And Nolan Smith, to an extent, I think was viewed in that light as well by people nationally. On defense this year, I don't know if they'll have someone that will be as popular of a name as Jalen Carter. Now, that became an even more popular name for other reasons, but I don't know that they'll have a player. I think Malachi Starks has a chance to be that for them.
He does.
I think to an extent, the inside linebackers are, in a way. They're not maybe as name brand popular, but I think Malachi Starks will turn into your biggest name brand on defense.
Okay, but it could be Williams by the end of the time.
It could be Williams.
It could be Williams by the time that Georgia, wraps this thing up in 2024. You would think they'd play in 2024, but we'll see. These guys are. I don't know that there are a lot of stars, and I think that to some degree speaks to their situation right now. They are a really gifted team everywhere. Someone was writing about Zion. I think it's for tomorrow with Zion Logue on the site. Zion Logue's not a star, but he's really productive. So Stackhouse. So is Brinson. Brinson may be a little bit undervalued for what he's going to bring to the table. And then, Tramel Walthour has started 15 games last year on a national championship winning team and is invisible to people. What am I correctly?
That was a great way to put it. I mean, like, it is a team effort. I think that just shows that it takes a team to do it, but it's a defense where people around the country, unless they were just, diehard college football fans that watch a lot of games and pay attention like that, you wouldn't have been able to name more than maybe 2 people on Georgia's defense. And it's going to be that way again, probably.
I think
and on offense, it looks that way. I mean, Ladd McConkey is a name that has been thrown out there, but no one knows who Marcus Rosemy-Jackson is.
Not versus not versus those Ohio State receivers.
No, I mean, Arian Smith is a little bit different because he's got the track background.
But Arian's got to play the whole season.
He catches in his Georgia career.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You know what I mean? I mean, so
he's had some important touchdowns.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's
that's the problem with Georgia, man. Is like there's no obvious weakness. That's the real problem, is what I would say for people who are dealing with them. Any last things about practice?
I was gonna say I brought up Arian Smith. He was running this corner route, and dude, it's compared to everyone else, the acceleration, it's unreal. It's unreal when you just get to see the same thing done over and over by a handful of guys, and then you see Arian Smith do it. A guy who also, and I've said this before, I think has pretty solid chemistry with Carson Beck.
Who's that?
I think Carson Beck and Arian Smith has definitely developed a rapport over the last few years. Every time I see them, they're always on beat in practice. When if there's ever an issue, it's never between Carson Beck and Arian Smith.
Well, I'll tell you this because you're kind of coming and going. You're kind of coming and going. I'm going to say this real quick as we get off here. If Arian Smith has a 600-yard season this year, that's a real dangerous thing for everybody else because that's a lot of yards to be the number 3 or 4 wide receiver. And the type of yards that he would get, those 600, the type of catches and plays he'd get on those 600 yards, that would probably be, I don't know about 12 big plays, but that'd probably be 8 big plays. And 8 big plays, that might be decisive in 3 games. So we'll just see. Arian Smith, really good. Ryan Curley, really good. Will be at practice on Saturday. We'll be from Athens on Thursday and Saturday. And catch us up there. We'll see you on the website.